So Akim Aliu played for the Rockford
Ice Hogs.
Ice Hogs, which was the Chicago AHL team, and Bill Peters was coaching at the time. This was in 2009, I believe.
I'll get it up.
So this is from Frank Saravelli's article. This is the quote. He walked in before a morning pregame skate and said, "I'm sick. Hey Akim, this is Bill Peters. Hey Akim, I'm sick of you playing that NS." Aliu told TSN with Peters, who was then the Ice Hogs head coach, referring to a loose selection of hip hop music. He said, "I'm sick of hearing this N, F, other, N in the ass stuff." He then walked out like nothing ever happened. You could hear a pin drop in the room. Everything went dead silent. I just sat down in my stall, didn't say a word.
This was the 2009-10 season, by the way.
2009-10. When Peters then called Aliu into his office to talk about it, Aliu said Peters did not apologize. Instead, Peters again expressed his displeasure in Aliu's choice of music for the dressing room, with Aliu saying, Peters said, I'm just sick of this NS. It's every day. From now on, we need to play different music. This is the first incident. The first Bill Peters incident. I don't even know what to say. Like, that's how I felt uncomfortable reading that.
It's jaw-dropping. It's ignorant. It's racist. I think at first we were all like, oh my God, with Don Cherry. But this was just...
No, this is a whole different thing.
I haven't been this shocked by a sports story since the Donald Sterling stuff.
I don't even know. Like, it's really bad.
And the worst part is, so Ron Francis knew about it. The ownership group at the time came out and said they knew about it.
Ron Francis, that's Carolina. That's the second incident.
Oh, sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, but yeah. So this isn't the first time. Then there was Michael Jordan, not the football, not the basketball, greatest of all time, but a former Canes player said that this is also from Frank Saravelli. He's really good, isn't he? Multiple physical altercations between Peters and players in Carolina. Jordan said he kicked me pretty hard in the back during a game. Even the trainers and the other guys saw it. And then and then that's when Ron Francis, former GM, now the GM of Seattle, knew about it. And nothing was done.
Well, here's what, since you brought it up, Jeff Baker of the Seattle Times got a quote from former Hurricanes owner Carmanos. Says he would have fired Bill Peters in a nanosecond had GM Ron Francis told him of player abuse allegations.
And this was confirmed. This isn't just the players. Rod Brindamore even came out, who's the assistant at the time, said it definitely happened.
He goes, it for sure happened. The two issues that are in question. So the two issues, there's the one with Jordan, and there's an unnamed Hurricanes player. Brindamore went on to say, to me, it's what happened after that I'm proud about, actually the way the players handled it and the way the support staff handled it, which was to bring it to management right away. And then management handled it directly and never heard of it again and never saw anything else after that.
Now, we should say the Flames, as well as the NHL, are doing investigations right now. Peters is probably about to meet with the NHL. He has not been fired, even though Sportsnet first said they did. I want to read you the Sixero tweet quickly. I'm sure you saw it, but this is from Sid Sixero, probably one of the best members of Sportsnet. Bill Peters' story. 1, accused of making racial remarks to former player. 2 people corroborated it. 3, Peters admitting to saying it. 4, Peters accused of physical abuse of players during games in Carolina. 5, Rod Brindamore confirms it. And finally, how has Peters not been fired yet?
So I actually have that as I have that as a question here. So it's actually quite obvious that Bill Peters will not be coaching the Calgary Flames again. Now, at this point, it's really just coming down to a legal thing, whether his contract can be terminated or whether they just fire him and have to pay out the rest of his contract. That's what's happening behind the scenes. It's not a matter of, oh, we're going to do this investigation and then we'll decide if he's going to be coach. If that was the case, it'd be a very different sense what's going on, because it's been confirmed, right? That both of these incidents have happened. At this point, it's literally down to a legal thing.
I think they put it best on Tim had said. I think it was Ryan Leslie that a fan might just say, a normal person, anyone who's not a lawyer says, why is this taking so long? And anyone who is a lawyer understands the legal ramifications of this.
Yeah, because it comes down to, are we going to pay out the rest of his contract and just fire him? Or can we actually go ahead and terminate his contract? And that's what's basically going on behind the scenes right now. Now, I'm not sure if you saw this, but Bill Peters put out a he sent a statement
I saw it.
Brad Treliving. So I'm going to read it out. Brad, please accept this as a sincere apology to you and the entire Calgary Flames organization for offensive language I used in a professional setting a decade ago. I know that my comments may have been the source of both anger and disappointment, and I understand why. Although it was an isolated and immediately regrettable incident, I take responsibility for what I said. The statement was made in a moment of frustration and does not reflect my personal values. After the incident, I was rightfully challenged about my use of language, and I immediately returned to the dressing room to apologize to the team. I have regretted the incident since it happened, and now I also apologize to anyone negatively affected by my words. So right there, he says something completely different than what we've been told. We were told beforehand, from in the Frank Saravelli article, that he did not come back and apologize. He called Aliu into his office and then said something else to him. So that's interesting.
Do you want to read what Akim said? I have his response up.
Yeah, there's more. Do you want to hear the rest of the apology?
Do we? I don't even think it's an apology.
It's basically him just talking at this point.
It's just lawyer speak, really.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead and read Aliu's statement.
So from Akim Aliu, I have read the statement of Bill Peters, which I found to be misleading, insincere, and concerning. I have accepted an invitation from the NHL to meet and discuss the situation. Out of respect for that process, I will not respond publicly to the statement or discuss the racism and discrimination that I have endured until after my meeting. Exactly what you said, Alex, there, that what Bill Peters said wasn't quite right. And even Akeem there is like, guys, there's something wrong here. Now, of course, let us remember that he's not going to come out. It's like when everyone was getting pissy that Austin Matthews never apologized. They're in the middle of a legal situation, a legal investigation. So right. It's not a surprise that he hasn't come out and been like, I'm sorry to Akeem, because then you're basically admitting it and you're putting yourself into a hole.
But that's the thing. He did admit it. I'll read you the first sentence.
But it's an apology to the Flames and Brad. It wasn't to Akeem.
I understand, but I get it. But he says, for offensive language I used in a professional setting a decade ago. He's admitting to using offensive language. It's a matter of, this is the lawyers basically told him to put this out.
Oh yeah, they typed it up and everything. The only thing about Bill Peters actually here is the signature.
It's just it's really ridiculous, this situation. And I guess, is there anything else you want to see on this specific situation?
I wanted to get your thoughts on how the PA want players to reach out through them.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. Here's my take is I don't know. So I never got to play hockey. So I don't know what the locker room atmosphere is like. I can only imagine what it is based on what I've been told. And it seems like they're supposed to be a tight-knit group. So to go and I get the PA wants you to go and tell them what's happening. You know what the thing is? I think there's no matter what, there's going to be some type of backlash until this idea changes, that we need to expose the people that are doing the wrong things. I don't mind if a player, let's say it happened today, if the player went to the PA talked to the team, and the team did something about it. But the thing is, that's not happening.
It said something that Akim didn't say anything until he was out of the league.
Right, because he was scared. He was scared of what would happen if he tried to get back in the league.
No, it is smart of the PA to do it from, a point of view of, oh hey, we're the PA, we're getting involved. Like, that is what they should do.
Right.
But it's really an empty offering because players aren't going to do anything.
Okay, so my question to you, back to you then, is, and I guess this is a good transition into our next part, is what does the PA have to do, or what does the team have to do for it to be okay for the players to come out and say, you know what, this coach did something, or this trainer did something, or this staff member did something? What needs to happen in the league? Because I don't know.
You know what? To me, Alex, it needs to be a change in culture, and maybe all of this with this next generation is the change they need. But right now, it has been a thing in the league forever. And I know this is I don't know if you're going to agree with me saying this, but you know how the league has never had an openly gay player. Yeah. Because it is seen as a distraction. There was the ESPN polls about players didn't want to do sponsorship stuff because it was a distraction. And there is this stupid thing with players about they forget the morality of stuff, and it's all about the team. And of course, yeah, me and you have never been in an environment, and we get it. But just as a person, it is a complete culture change that needs to happen. Because it's not going to change unless that change happens. But I'm not convinced it's going to.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I agree with the idea that you're putting out there. Here's the thing. And I see a lot of people saying similar things to you, right? That there needs to be a complete culture change. It's easy to say there needs to be a complete culture change, but the thing with a culture change is it doesn't happen in a second. This takes time. This takes years. Think about how long the analytics departments, how long that's taken to get into the NHL.
And that's still not perfect.
Right. How long, I guess what I'm asking you is, what is the first step that needs to be taken? Because what you're suggesting is great, and what you're suggesting is extremely valid, but what you're suggesting is the big picture. What's something that the team or the PA can necessarily do?
Well, maybe then the PA coming out and asking players to come through them is the first step. And I guess going hand in hand in that is the league need to do something about it. What exactly it is I don't know, because it's not like the league have been that proactive and stuff before, but That's the thing. I think the league and the PA need to work together on this because right now it just seems to be only the PA doing something, and it's a given that the league needs to do an investigation themselves. But I bet they're looking at it more as a PR issue than it is a cultural issue. So I think it is the league taking this seriously as an issue that is bigger than just the game.
Do you think that because realistically realistically there's a lack of minorities in the NHL?
Oh, for sure.
If there wasn't a lack, right? Because we don't see a lot of this in football, or we don't see a lot of this in baseball. Or, well, no, sorry, that's wrong. We do see we see instances of racism or discrimination go on in baseball, football, and basketball, but we see that stuff handled fast and right, or most of the time it's handled correctly. So, and why is that? Because there's more minorities in those games. And the thing is, I think hockey might be lagging behind a little bit because they're not proactively looking to get out there and bring in those minorities. Because at the end of the day, it's very expensive to play hockey. Very expensive. The equipment's not cheap. Ice time is expensive. Just signing up for a team, like, it's expensive. And I think that's the first step. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I think that's the first step. I don't know who would be involved in that, if it's the league or if it's the PA or if it's both of them. Maybe Hockey Canada or the national programs need to step in and do something about something like that, because it's not only minorities, but hockey as a whole. Number one, I believe viewership is down, but also participation is down. So that says a lot to me, that number one, there's this discrimination. Number two, participation is down. Now we need to increase participation and deal with this discrimination, because at the end of the day, there's going to be discrimination, whether we like it or not. If you go on Twitter, it's there. If you go on any social media, it's there. You go to a hockey game, you're most likely going to see it. But it's a matter of dealing with it correctly. And if you can't deal, what I have a problem with is the fact that players can't deal with it correctly at the time is a huge concern. The fact that he had to wait 10 years, almost 11 years to talk about this is a major concern for me.
It's really funny there. You're mentioning things like Hockey Canada. And of course, Bill Peters is a Hockey Canada guy. Mike Babcock is a Hockey Canada guy. There is no bigger boys club in sports than Hockey Canada. Right. And it's the league is patting itself on the back for the littlest thing. Oh, Seattle hired one woman for analytics. The Leafs have been, I'm trying not to use obscene language here, but people have been giving the Leafs credit for hiring Haley Wickenheiser for about half a decade now. For one hire. And it's so annoying. And it's more than just the league, it's the media too. I cannot tell you, how often have you seen them use Hardenmeyer sing, besides bringing him on for Hockey Central News to talk about Don Cherry or celebrating Hockey Night in Punjabi? They only bring him out for either PR stuff or damage control with Don Cherry. So it's more than just the league itself. You were bringing it up earlier. It's more than just hockey.
Right. This comes down to a society issue. But if you want to get into that, that's bigger than dealing with the hockey issue. It's and I brought it up before. You go on social media for anything. I'm talking about hockey. You could talk about any sport in general. You can get into any topic. This stuff is going to be there 24/7. Right now,
the saying of Elliot Friedman's grandmother: someone would cure cancer and people would still find a way to hate it.
Yeah, I think so. That's what the thing is. So it's easy for us to sit here and say the hockey culture needs to change, or society needs, or the people who disagree need to change. But at the end of the day, that's hard to do. Uh, you have to take it one step at a time. So here's the thing. I wanted to bring up what you said about the Leafs hiring Haley Wickenheiser and Seattle. I believe Seattle hired Alex Mandrycky.
Yes.
It's great that they did that. So listen, you hire a woman, great. That's a step ahead. But to talk about it for the next 5 to 10 years, no. Start bringing more people in. Like, don't pat yourself. I agree with you. Don't pat yourself on the back for 5 years. That doesn't make sense.
Name me more than one person of color who works for an NHL team that isn't a player. 3 of them. You can't do it.
No,
I can't name you a single person of color who isn't a player in working in the league, period. I can't do it.
No, I can't. And that comes back to the conversation we were having before, that the game itself doesn't have many minorities in it. And the reasons behind that, not sure. This is one of them. This is one of them, for sure. Something like this keeps people away. The cost keeps everyone away. Not just minorities, everyone.
You know what's a really big red flag for me, Alex, is Adam Wylde was making the point of in Toronto, like people who are white are the minority now. And that's the biggest market in the league. So when you aren't reaching out to the different demographics of people in arguably your biggest market, that is proof of how downhill the game is going. That is a problem.
Well, that's a part of a different conversation. Like, it's part of this conversation, but that's also a part of a completely different conversation about how the league is running. And we talked about it last week about the whole suspension. And I brought up the point that no one gives a crap about hits anymore. Our generation, I can't name you 5 people I know around our age who watches hockey who cares about the hits.
No.
I watch commercials on TV for basketball, for football, for soccer. You know what I see? I don't see football. I don't see a lot of hits. For basketball, I don't see any contact. I see dunks. I see three-pointers. I see crazy catches. I see crazy goals. Why is it that...
Even if you go back in the day, Alex, if you show me a clip of Scott Stevens or you show me a clip of Pavel Datsyuk, I'm watching Pavel Datsyuk.
Yeah, like, I couldn't care less. Like, it's great. If you want to go see 2 people beat the crap out of each other, I guarantee you UFC and boxing would love to take you.
At least in UFC and boxing, that's what it is. It is a combat sport.
They openly know that it's bad. Listen, they know. But there's a lot of conversations we can stem on, and I think we'll eventually get to it because inevitably something will happen when it comes to the league, how it runs, who it's targeting. Well, that's a completely separate conversation. But from right now, listen, I found a quote from Mark Boriecki. This was, I don't remember where I found it, but I really like it. It's all about individual relationships and how you treat people. If you don't want to get called out for stuff, treat people with respect, period. It seems like a pretty simple formula to me. I think we've all likely got stories dating back to minor hockey of stuff that probably isn't acceptable now. The people resisting this change, it's almost futile. Society is changing as a whole. It's about time sports changed with it.
He's completely right.
I've never agreed with this man more.
He should make a video of Eugene Melnyk talking about it.
Stop it. We're trying to be serious.
See, what I was hoping is that would be our transition now. I don't know, what else do you want to say on the note of of the league or on Bill Peters, Mike Babcock, any of it, Alex?
Well, I think both the situations we've talked about are absolutely disgusting and absolutely ridiculous. I think the league really needs to look at itself, needs to take a look in the mirror and figure out what it wants to do. I think the PA, just by stating that itself, is a good first small step. I hope that the PA does some more stuff that makes players feel more comfortable and teams are more open about it. And I think we're going to see a lot more players talking soon. They're probably going to be retired, but the fact that these stories are coming out to start with are impressive, are good.